I've always known you were a little weird, but I like you anyway.
I traverse the darkness. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what?
I mean, what?
Hello, adoring audience and public at large. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Maxx's Super Awesome Comic Review Show. So, a few notables that we're going to get to before we jump into the top 5. First up on our notables is Graveyard Shift from Image Comics. It's number 1. It is about vampires, but like dark brooding vampires that murder people, not sparkly glittery vampires that do no such awesome things. Anyway, another one-shot, but it's actually going to be a series of one-shots, so I don't know why they didn't just call it an ongoing. But it is Garbage Pail Kids' Puke-tacular. One-shot came out this week. If you're a fan of Garbage Pail Kids or are familiar with them from your childhood, you will really like this comic. It is super gross, and it's called Puke-tacular for a reason, so keep that in mind. But it's a bunch of little one-shots, and all the characters are named after cards, and some of the cards are actual characters, and hey, you know, it was some funny stuff.
And it's like Peter Bagg and Bill Ray and indie darlings.
Yeah, what he said. Next up, we have Daredevil issue number 11, which is actually issue like 500 in the Mark Waid run. Probably not quite that much, but we are committed to making this book super popular because it's super awesome. There's only so long that you can write one story. But it's been really good, and anyone that's a fan of really good superhero comics should check it out. Last up on our list of honorable mentions, and this is a good segue into our top 5 list, but it is Bee and Puppycat issue number 7. Came out this week. This is a very adorable series full of adorable things.
You asked for it, YouTube commenter.
You, and so you get it.
There's Bee and Puppycat for you. And I am a huge fan of the cartoon. I was a Kickstarter supporter.
It's good. It's funny. It's clever.
But it's always a collection of short stories. You don't really have to follow from issue 1. You can pick up any one.
Top 5. Coming in at number 5 this week, we have Captured Creatures issue number 2.
Numero dos.
It's kind of a theme in our top 5 this week. There's a disconnect between writing and art. This one, Captured Creatures, the storytelling was good. The comedy was good. It was still funny. Laughed at a lot of it.
Totally funny.
And the illustrations of just the creatures were really fantastic, but the panel-to-panel storytelling...
Yeah, the mechanics were a little off. Not very clear sometimes.
Yeah, I had to go back and like double check and see what was going on in like the final action sequences, but our heroes finally get to the like creature island or volcano island, and it is full of creatures, so that did not disappoint. Coming in at number 4, it is He-Man and the Eternity War, number 1 by Dan Abnett. Really cool. Lots of good like concepts going on story-wise. A lot of setup. But
yeah, it totally seems like it's gonna be a cool epic tale. But yeah, it's a lot of exposition, but still, I feel like there could be more explanation.
Yeah, that's very well said. And we were discussing it, and we don't know if it's because they're trying to connect it to prior He-Man stories, and so they're just getting that out of the way now, and then like issue 2 is really going to set up the new stuff, or if they're just doing this to set up everything that's going to be happening in the future. Either way, like, it's cool. All of your favorite He-Man characters are there. You got Man-at-Arms, Hordak, Skeletor, He-Man, She-Ra. They're all... Some of them are a little bit different than you might remember from the last time.
Yeah, the changes are interesting. I'm into the edgier, you know, approach to some of it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, I mean, the final page was amazing. So, coming in at number 3, it is Gotham by Midnight issue number 2, written by Ray Fox and illustrated by Ben Temple Smith. Really cool. Probably, definitely my favorite of the extended Batman universe books.
Absolutely. Maybe
my favorite book that takes place in Gotham. The only disappointing thing about this issue, and I think Fox and I are on the same page about this.
Oh, yeah.
When is Ben Temple Smith going to show us just how awesome he can draw the Spectre?
Yeah, that was a tease. We know, you know, there's a Spectre scene, but the camera pulls away. I want to see the Temple spirit.
And then you pan back and it's all over, and you're like, no, come on.
Because you know it would be amazing.
But all of his other monsters, like this book is full of monsters and demons and all kinds of scary things, and he draws them so well. And Ray Fox does a great job of writing this story and making it very easy to follow. Coming in at number 2, it is Rasputin number 3. And this one continues to be sort of a runaway surprise for us because every time it comes out, it continues to go into our top 5.
And it continues to bring something new to the table where it's like, oh, didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Like, the mythology of this book is getting, I mean, don't exactly know what it all means, but it's a fun ride and it's beautiful all the way through. Lots of cool vistas again.
Yeah, I love it because there's so much magic in it, and you're like, oh, little sweet little, like, fairy baby, and then, like, close up on fairy baby's face, and he's got, like, fangs and red eyes.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And you're like, oh yeah, it's still a book about Rasputin. He's a bad guy. But we get a lot more explanation, at least temporary explanation, as to why he has these powers. And the art, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Is beautiful. It's coming in at number 1. Surprise, it's a number 1 because we really like them. Foxy, what's your number 1 reason why you like number 1s?
My number 1 reason for liking number 1s is that it's the potential for something new. It could be the new hot book, not just from a collector perspective, but from a story perspective. Like, maybe this is going to be my new favorite story.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when you read Batman number 27, it's probably not going to be your new favorite story.
Right.
It might be good, maybe, depending on which Batman number 27 we're talking about.
Yeah, depending.
But a new number 1 is like a promise of a new tomorrow, you know?
Right, or it's like new story arcs. Like, I'm always a big fan of new story arcs as well, and we review a lot of those too. But yeah, new number 1s, it's bold new territories, and like, we could sit here and we could do a review show about Amazing Spider-Man every single time Amazing Spider-Man comes out. But guess what? It's still going to be Spider-Man, and it's still going to be full of spiders, and he's probably going to fight a bad guy, and after a little while, there's really no more you can contribute to that conversation. Unless something cool happens like Spider-Verse, and then, you know...
Right, and then we're like, oh, Spider-Verse, awesome!
Right.
You know, and we try to cover everything equally, but newness is always going to be tops. It's going to, you know, we're going to have a lot more potential there.
Newness is next to godliness? Maybe not quite that far.
Well, you know, gotta start somewhere. But not always, because, you know, they don't always make it to the top 5.
They don't. Sometimes they're bad. But this one was good, and it's number 1 because it was the best combination of writing and art that we had this week, at least in our opinion. But it is They're Not Like Us from Image Comics number 1, written by Eric Stevenson and illustrated by Simon Gain.
And yeah, Simon Gain's art style reminded me of damn it. I'm just gonna put his name up on the screen. It really reminds me of this artist. And but it's Simon Gain I hadn't heard of before. Very cool, you know, in the reminiscent of someone I already love, but bringing something a little different to it also. And yeah, like Max said, no issues here. No mechanics issues, no storytelling issues. It was very clearly communicated, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger where you really care about what happens next. Like,
yeah.
I want to read issue 2 right now.
I thought I was going to be disappointed in this book. Well, when they solicited it, I was super excited because Eric Stevenson, Nowhere Men, chief editor for Image or some title like that.
Publisher.
Nowhere Men was fantastic, so I was like, this series is going to be great. Started reading it. Took a little while to get going. A lot happened, but not a lot happened. And then, like you said, the last page ends on this cliffhanger that just pushes you to the edge of your seat. But the whole time, you're just blown away by all the different artwork. It's a cool little world this book sets up. It's like the youth gone wild, like all that angst of like up-and-coming generations trying to like push aside everything that's come before them. Only in this instance, they all have like unique abilities. And I don't want to say like the X-Men because I feel that that is a disservice to both of them. But kind of like the X-Men.
It was kind of like the... Let's be honest. I was getting strong X-Men vibes.
Yeah.
But then it goes to a darker place.
Let's see. That is going to do it for our top 5, and we will just segue into news and updates for next week. Merry Christmas, everybody, by the way, or whatever you happen to celebrate. If you celebrate nothing, I hope you just enjoy the day off.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. Festivus. That's what I'm celebrating tomorrow.
Yeah. You got the pole out?
I did. But it's usually just always around.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. So next week will be New Year's. So we'll see you next time in the new year. And we will be talking about previews, as well as the new S.H.I.E.L.D. number 1 comes out next week. We got Abigail and the Snowman.
Oh, spoilers, our top 5.
Well, there's only like 6 books. It's going to be a real condensed top 5 next week. In fact, previews.
Almost the only 5. Previews maybe number 5.
Maybe. It might be. Depending on how much Batman Eternal I can get caught up.
Yeah, they better turn up the heat on Batman Eternal.
But I got no words for the show. Do you have any words for the show?
No, I don't think I do.
Nope. Well, that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed the books that you read this week. And we will see you next year. Stay frosty. Why are you slapping me? Hey, it's not that kind of show.